All right, let's get right to it. A major winter storm named Fern is bearing down on a huge chunk of the United States. We're going to cut through all the noise and just give you the critical information you need to know about this thing, and more importantly, how to stay safe. Let's dive in. First up, let's just talk about the sheer scale here. This is not some small localized storm. We are talking about 140 million Americans. Yeah, that's pretty much half the entire country who are directly in the path of this massive weather system. The size alone is just staggering. And look, this isn't just media hype. The National Weather Service, these are the experts, right? They are using some incredibly strong language. Their official description for the heart of this storm? A catastrophic ice band. When you hear words like that from the NWS, it is a signal to take this thing with absolute seriousness. So let's break down what it really means when a storm of this magnitude hits half the nation, because the impacts are already starting to ripple out, even before the worst of it arrives. I mean, just look at this path. It's enormous. It stretches all the way from North Texas clear up to New England, and officials are not waiting around. Governors in over a dozen states have already declared states of emergency, and we're already seeing smart, proactive moves, like schools closing in places like Georgia, all to get people off the roads and safely home. And the impact on travel, it's already huge. So far, 8,000 flights have been canceled. That number tells a story, you know? It's the story of a national system grinding to a halt, messing up travel and supply chains for everyone, not just for people in the storm's direct path. But here's something that is so crucial to understand. This is not your typical snowstorm. Not even close. There is a very unique and particularly dangerous element at play with Winter Storm Fern that really changes the game. The primary threat here isn't how much snow we'll get, it's the unbelievable weight of the ice. Think about it. The sheer crushing force of ice building up on power lines and tree branches, it's so heavy it just snaps them. Forecasters are actually comparing the potential damage not to a blizzard, but to a hurricane. And to make things even more complicated, the response to this storm is happening at a tricky time. See, normally you'd have the full force of the National Weather Service supporting all the local efforts. But with Storm Fern, a government shutdown means a lot of that support is, well, it's dark. Now, FEMA is coordinating, but local resources are going to be stretched incredibly thin. That makes it more important than ever for all of us to be self-reliant. And that right there brings us to the real heart of this explainer, what you need to do right now. We've taken all the best advice and distilled it into a clear, actionable 9-step plan to help you and your family get through this safely. This is the key question, isn't it? It's not just about your own safety, it's about making choices that allow emergency services to do their jobs and help those who need it most. So let's walk through the plan. So here are the essentials, broken down. It all starts with staying off the roads and prepping your home. Then you've got to be ready to follow the 72-hour rule. And finally, some really crucial steps for your health and for your community. We're going to detail the most critical ones for you right now. Step 1. This is the big one, and it's not a suggestion. Stay off the roads, period. It doesn't matter how good your car is or how well you think you can drive. Every single car that gets stranded becomes another obstacle blocking ambulances, fire trucks, and snowplows from getting where they desperately need to go. Okay, number 2. If your power goes out, and for many it will, report it digitally. Use your power company's app or text service. Why? Because it keeps the 911 phone lines open for real life and death emergencies. That is absolutely critical when response times are already going to be slow. Now, let's talk about a core concept for any big emergency. It's called the 72-hour rule. The rule is simple. You have to be prepared to be completely on your own with no outside help coming for a minimum of 3 days. That's the mindset you need to adopt right now. And this is what that actually looks like in practice. This is your 72-hour kit. You should have it ready to go. We're talking essentials like water, food that won't go bad, power banks that are already fully charged up, flashlights with extra batteries, and a basic first aid kit. Let's hit 2 key points that can stop a disaster from happening inside your home. First, ventilation is life. I mean that literally. Generators have to stay outside to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, and you need to make sure snow isn't piling up and blocking your furnace vents. Second, drip your pipes. A slow, steady drip keeps water moving and can be the one thing that prevents a catastrophic pipe burst. Now for a really sobering but essential fact. Medical emergencies don't just stop for a storm. In fact, some of them get worse.
Heart attacks see a significant spike during major snowstorms, and it's almost always linked to the strain of shoveling heavy, wet snow.
So, the bottom line is this: shovel smart. Take frequent breaks, push the snow instead of lifting it, and please don't overdo it. The last thing anybody needs is a medical emergency when hospitals and ambulance services are already going to be completely overwhelmed. You know, your actions can also be a lifeline for your whole community. First, do the neighbor check. A simple text or a quick call to an elderly or vulnerable neighbor can make all the difference in the world. And second, if there's a fire hydrant on your street, clear the snow around it. In a fire, those few extra minutes can save a home or even a life.
And finally, step 9, secure your yard. Tie down or bring inside anything that the wind can pick up. We're talking patio furniture, grills, trash cans. Once they're coated in heavy ice and get hit by strong winds, they basically become dangerous projectiles.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the massive scale of this storm all the way down to the 9 critical steps for survival. But if you remember only one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this next point. The single best thing you can do for your own safety, for your family, and for every single emergency worker out there in the storm is to stay home. Stay inside, stay warm, and stay off the roads. It is the simplest and by far the most effective action you can take.
So we'll leave you with this final thought, a question to act on. In a storm this large, our technology and our infrastructure will be tested. But our greatest asset is always each other. So have you checked on your neighbors? Stay safe out there.